Let's go ahead and talk about the problem of the day. Be sure to answer the questions I ask out loud and think about how your work is the same or different from what we talk about together. Before we start, I want to point out that the units for this line plot are actually listed underneath the scale. Yesterday, they were often up here in the title and parentheses. Either way is fine. Okay, so how did you represent this question? Say it out loud. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you might have represented. I bet a lot of you used a number sentence where you had 6 and 5/8 for the tallest player, minus 5 and 6/8 for the shortest player. Let's go ahead and add that here. The tallest minus 5 and 6/8 for the shortest, and that equals D, or the difference. Great. Okay. So I'm wondering, how did you know that 6 and 5/8 was the tallest player height and 5 and 6/8 was the shortest player height? Say it out loud. Yeah, we know from looking at the line plot that 6 and 5/8 is the tallest height because it's the greatest height on the line that also has an X over it. If there's an X, it tells us that someone on the team had that height. The smallest height with an X over it was 5 and 6/8. So we know that has to be the height of the smallest player. What information is represented by the scale of this line plot? Say it out loud. Yeah, the scale, right, which is this right here, the scale is telling us all the possible heights of the players. And what does each X in the line plot, what does each one of those represent? Say it out loud. Yes, each X represents the height of one player. Each X is the height of a player. All right, so when we need to interpret line plots, what do you think we should be asking ourselves and thinking about? Say it out loud. There's a lot of things you might have said. A couple of things I imagine you did probably say was, one, what information is being represented by the scale? And then also, what does each X represent? Go ahead and read these thinking questions with me. What is the information represented by the scale? And what does each X represent? Okay, so how could we actually go ahead and solve this problem using the line plot? Say it out loud. Yeah, we could actually count how many 1/8 intervals there are between 5 and 6/8 and 6 and 5/8. Let's try that. Here's 5 and 6/8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1/8 intervals between those two measurements. So we know that our answer is going to be 7/8 feet, actually. 7/8 feet. Okay. What if we wanted to solve this without counting on the line plot? What can we do? Say it out loud. we could just subtract 5 and 6/8 from 6 and 5/8. If we were going to do that, what would we need to do with our 6 and 6 and 5/8? Say it out loud. Yes. In our 6 and 5/8, we would need to regroup one of our wholes to give us additional eighths so that we could subtract 6/8. So we'd have 5 and 8/8, right? Plus the 5/8 we already had. That's going to give us 5 and 13/8. So we would take the 5 and 13/8, subtract 5 and 6/8, and once again we get 7/8. Great.